Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got the latest from Springfield Armory's TRP line. This is the TRP CC AOS, which stands for Agency Optic System. It's Optic Ready. If you're watching this on the release day of this video, then you're also watching this on the release day of the gun. This is new from Springfield. Turn the safety off, I'll be able to open the slide a little easier. This is effectively the same thing as the original one that we showed not too long ago, except it's chambered in 9mm. So other than that, it's fundamentally the same. I'm still going to go over all the details instead of just sending you to watch the 45 video, because there's a couple minor nuances. But it's got the VZ G10 grips. These are the Hydra series, and they're kind of aggressive. As I run my finger over, you see my fingers kind of sticking and hesitating. They're really grippy. They're also really cool looking. The checkering is really fine checkering. It looks cheese grater-ish, but honestly it's not. When I grab a hold of it, it doesn't hurt my hand, it doesn't scrape me or anything else, but the gun does stay put. So you've got that same checkering here on the back. So I would not let the aggressive look of the texturing be a deterrent. Even if I squeeze really hard, it really doesn't hurt my hand. It's actually a quite comfortable gun to hold. It's got the little bump here to make sure that the grip safety disengages when you squeeze correctly, and it has the concealed carry bobtail. This is actually kind of a big deal when it comes to 1911s with concealed carry. This really helps with hiding the grip, which is of course the hardest part of the gun to hide when you're doing concealed carry. Not a lot of guns out there have this, and the texturing stops a little distance up from it, and then it kind of contours down. So it will make it a little easier to conceal carry this. From a features perspective, it does have a Picatinny rail, 3-slot. It has front and rear serrations. They're deep enough to get a hold of, but they don't tear you up. They're really easy to get, both front and rear. And it has texture on the top of the slide to reduce glare. So that as you know, if you're out in the sun, you're getting a little bit of sun glare, it kind of cuts that glare. But the notable difference is the fact that this is the first in the TRP line, at least as of the making of this video, that is optics ready. It uses their Agency Optic System. So when the gun came, it had this plate on it, which kind of just continues the contour of the slide, and it has an adjustable rear sight that you could also replace if you wanted to. It will come with one of a plate like this one. It's not this specific one, but it'll come with a plate, and you'll notice that the sight is on the plate. So there is a sight on the plate, and it is dovetail, so you still could replace it if you wanted to, and the optic sits on that. So effectively, to change it out, take this plate off that went through the back of the gun, choose the plate that fits the optic that I want, mount the plate, put the optic on it. Now the way they ship these, they ship with the plate that's available that fits the Hex Dragonfly. I didn't happen to have a Hex Dragonfly in stock. I put this HS407K from Holosun. It's actually a 407K X2 from Holosun on it. That required a different plate, and that plate will not come with the retail gun. It'll come with a coupon in the box for about $80 off of the optic plate of your choice. You order it on their website and you can get it. But it will come with a Hex Dragonfly plate. So if you want to put a Hex Dragonfly on it, it'll come with that plate that would fit that. I happen to have this available, so I threw that on there. The sights it comes with, the front sight is a tritium sight, and regardless of which plate you put on, the back sight's going to be kind of a serrated blackout rear sight. Once you put an optic on it, the rear sight becomes a little less important. But one of the things you'll notice is that you can co-witness. Now, one of the things that you have to keep in mind with co-witness, to do co-witness, you have to get the sight down low, which this system does allow you to do. It kind of recesses the plate down. So it recesses the optic down into the two curves of the slide, especially in 1911 that's curved. So if you've got an optic that's like the Vortex Venom I was going to put on here, curves out at the front, it curves out at the back, and it wouldn't fit down in this well. The newer, squarer optics are going to be less of a problem, but not every optic will fit on this type of a setup simply because of that recess. The Holosun's a good optic, and I'll be happy with it. The Vortex was one I happen to also have in the safe, and I was going to try to use it, but again, because of that curvature at the front, it tries to be too stylish. Because of the curvature in the front, the curvature at the back, it just didn't fit down into the well. You're going to find that with any gun that has real co-witness capability that puts the optic down low, because you end up having to have a cutout in the slide to account for it. A couple of the other features, it does have an ambi safety, and it's real easy to get to it with it staying well out of your way. And the same is true for the safety on the other side. I'll move my hand out of the way so you can see the other side of the gun. But when I grip it again, which I'm going to, you'll see that the safety still stays way out of my way. And of course it's harder to put it on the wrong side if I had the other hand, but whether it's on or off, it's well out of my way. So I'm not going to get hit by that safety. Some ambi safeties, the way they're designed, I'll end up biting into the hand on the opposite side, and that can be really unpleasant. These are well designed, curved, up out of the way. They've got a nice platform. They're easy to get to, and when you're operating with the correct hand for you and using the one that's for that hand, it's easy to get to. So these safeties work very, very well. They're very positive, very distinct. The other thing that I'll show you, of course, is the trigger. This one's unloaded. Very little take up. That's the entire take up. That's the entire break. It's a very light, nice, crisp, sharp, well-defined trigger. Real short reset. I let it bounce that time. And then a short break. I'm going to try not to let it bounce this time. Yeah, it's hard to not let it bounce, but it's a very, very nice trigger. I found this trigger worked very, very well at the range. Of course, it's a 1911. Needs to be cocked for the trigger to operate. It's a single action only. 1911s are designed to be carried, cocked, and locked. And one of the things that I noticed on this is it does not have a drop safety plunger. So it has the thumb safety and it has the grip safety, which is your classic 1911. This would be what would be often called, you'll hear it called a 70 series. Well, the 70 series, 80 series thing, that's a Colt thing. That's their guns. But fundamentally, it's the same concept as the 70 series trigger. One of the things that the 80 series or triggers with a drop safety, it really does change the dynamic of a 1911 trigger significantly. A lot of people that really like 1911s don't like the drop safety plunger. So this comes without it, and you get that really sharp, clean, crisp, short 1911 trigger that everybody really likes in a 1911. Specs wise, it's 7.9 inches front to back. It does have an extended beaver tail that really keeps the hammer way away from my hand. And of course it is a skeletonized hammer and skeletonized trigger, but it's almost impossible to get slide bit by this thing. It's 5.5 inches tall, with, of course, not counting the optic if you just had the regular sight on it. And it's a 4 1/4 inch conventional rifling barrel. It's hammer forged stainless steel. The slide is forged steel, and the frame is forged aluminum alloy. Everything here is forged, which gives you really strong parts, really solid, strong parts. I mentioned the tritium front sight, and it's got a lot of the features that you would be looking for. From a weight perspective, as you see it sitting here in my hand with a flush magazine, it weighs 31.6 ounces. If I took an ounce away for the hollow sun, it would drop it down to around 30.6. It's a little bit heavier than the 45 equivalent, which is dimensionally the same, and that's not surprising because they use the same barrel blank, and they just drill a smaller hole in it for 9mm. So there's more metal left over in this barrel after drilling the hole, so it adds a little bit of weight, and that accounts for a few ounces more than the 45. You'd think a 45 would be heavier, but in most cases it's the other way around when they're all based on the same basic platform. In the interest of keeping this video from being too long, which it may be approaching that already, I'm not going to take this one apart. It's the same as the 45 ACP version. We'll put a link to that video in the description. We do take it apart, and you can fast forward to that part if you want to see the internals. The one thing that I will call out is it uses a standard GI style guide rod. So you have the barrel bushing that you slide to the side. So it is a true toolless disassembly. Pop out this pin, and it comes right apart, goes right back together. So it is very easy to maintain, but you will see I'm trying to move the barrel. It's very tight lockup. One thing I will do though, which I normally do when I take it apart, I'll do it now just without taking it apart, is show you the barrel. As I mentioned, it's conventional rifling. You can see that there. Very well machined, very clean. I would expect no less from Springfield Armory. And the other thing is, let me get the magazine out of it so it's a little easier to see, and shed some light in there, you'll see it has a polished feed ramp. The feed ramp integrates well with the partial feed ramp at the bottom of the frame. This fed from the first round to the last round, it fed flawlessly. What I've come to expect from Springfield Armory's 1911s, well, any of their guns, but we're talking about 1911s here. They just work. They work flawlessly. They're not picky. I've never had to play with an extractor or tune one. I take these things out of the box, I clean them, I oil them, I run them at the range, clean them and oil them, put them away, and then next time I take them out, they're ready to go again. The nice thing about 1911s is, that you can get them really tuned up well to be almost precision machines, which these are right from the factory. But they're like old muscle cars in some cases, 1911s, and you always have to play with them to get them working. You're always messing with something. I've found that not to be the case with the Springfields. It's like having the luxury of that precision tuning without the hassle of having to babysit the thing. Just take care of it, and it just works. MSRP on this series is between $17.32 to $19.99, depending on which one you choose. The particular these concealed carriers with the bob and the Cerakote, this is black Cerakote, tend to be at the upper end of that spectrum. Beyond functioning perfectly, it was a pleasure to shoot at the range. It was easy to pull nice tight groups with it, and I really appreciate Springfield Armory sending this for a review. It was, as what I've come to expect from Springfield Armory, a pleasant experience from beginning to end. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.